Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss how the Tories' immigration and asylum policies are making no coherent sense. Not just because they're trying to apply illegal and unworkable solutions to problems that don't exist, whilst ignoring the problems that do exist, but because we have the baffling sight of the government at the same time saying we need to reduce net migration, whilst at the same time saying we need to increase net migration. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So yesterday, there were large protests in several cities around the UK against the government's latest legislative attempts by the Tories to demonise refugees. I didn't go around asking, I wasn't there, but I'm going to guess that most of the demonstrators were motivated to make their voices heard due to the immoral and potentially illegal nature of what the Conservatives are doing. But I try to make points from a practical point of view. See, arguing morality only really attracts people with the same specifications of moral compass, really. But you can make arguments on practical grounds which will engage people with very different sets of values. And people who can see the most vulnerable people in the world treated like this, they've got a very different set of values to me. So let's look at the situation from the government's position. They could just process asylum claims properly and then deport failed claimants without any fuss from the lefty lawyers. They could process them in northern France and then there's no channel crossings at all. No need for wasting Parliament's time by constructing legislation which doesn't meet our international obligations. As long as the process is carried out properly, everyone coming here without, a sound asylum claim would be deported. Easy. As for those whose claim is accepted, they'd then be able to work, something we desperately need them to do because we've got severe shortages. In fact, the latest idea in the Tory media, promoted by 30p Lee, is for unemployed people to be rounded up and taken to farms and forced to pick vegetables hundreds of miles away from their families. Actually, when I read it, I don't remember seeing what the plan was to accommodate and school the small children that would either be left behind or would have to accompany the parents. But I never said it was a workable plan. Just that our labour shortage is now so severe that this is the sort of nonsense right-wing commentators have to come up with in order to not face the reality of their politics. But the government want to make enemies of refugees in order to win the votes of the very people whose quality of life is taking such a battering from the Tories. Their justification for treating refugees like this is, well, they're not actually refugees, I think you'll find. They're not actually refugees. They're economic migrants passing illegally into the UK. Of course, if that were true, they could be deported. So it's nonsense. But even if you believed the government that they were illegal immigrants, but somehow, because you don't understand how the law works, you also believe that there's nothing the law can do about it, there's still a problem with the government's rhetoric here. The government say we should not even consider these asylum claims because they're really economic migrants, not asylum seekers. So first of all, you could ask, well, where are all the actual asylum seekers then? But never mind. So what they're saying is economic migrants are bad then. Yeah, okay. Even though we're short about 1 million workers, yeah, they're bad. Okay, so why is there a shortage occupation list to help foreign workers bypass your shiny new points-based immigration system to work in the UK? And why has that shortage occupation list just been expanded to make it even easier for even more foreign workers to come here without having the points to do so normally? And why are even these moves not enough for some ministers? Helen Whately, she's the junior health minister, who was so regularly humiliated in 2020 when being grilled in interviews about the government's incoherent response to the pandemic, has now said, and I kid you not, that care homes should give hiring foreign workers a go. As if they've never thought about it. And another term for foreign worker is, of course, economic migrant. But the absolute state of this, the minister, a member of this Tory government, has actually, in her official capacity as a member of the government, therefore under the direction of the senior members of the government, told care home providers to try hiring economic migrants in order to address the labour shortage. Oh, you're complaining about labour shortages. Have you tried hiring economic migrants? Have you thought of that? She was boasting about the fact the government had been relaxing the rules, their immigration rules, to allow more foreign workers to take up positions in care homes. You can almost imagine what the care home bosses might have said. Well, There seems to be a lot of people fleeing war and persecution to come to the UK. You've got them holed up in hotels at public cost. Could you not just process their claims and send the successful applicants our way then? We'll find jobs for them. No, 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 no. We're locking them up in hotels. But that costs the public money, whereas if you process their claims and let them work in our care homes, they'll pay their own way and be contributing taxes to the Treasury. Yes, yes, but we don't care about that. We just want to use them as a human shield against our incompetence. And then you got Swella Braverman having a jolly in Rwanda against this weekend, saying how the accommodation built for the refugees she wants to send there is really nice. She jokes that she'd like the interior designer to give her some advice. She's basically trying to make out that these people are going to have a wonderful life in this country, which the UK still officially designates a human rights black spot. So why aren't the people who actually believe this shit, that a small child would be suspicious of, asking why we're sending all this money being sent to Rwanda to let refugees live such a comfortable life, when we could be having them working in the UK and making net contributions to our economy? This is another shocking failure of our media, that the Telegraph can publish an article where a Tory minister is saying that the shortages in care homes are being caused because they're not doing enough to employ more economic migrants, when elsewhere amongst its pages, it'll publish articles saying how we need to turn away asylum seekers because they're really economic migrants and economic migrants are bad. And we don't want them. It just doesn't reflect on us well as a society that we fall for all this obvious nonsense in such large numbers. You know, the Conservatives, they used to have a coherent immigration attitude. They would publicly blame immigration for all of society's ills, you know, because it suited their need to distract from their own immorality and incompetence. But they would not actually do anything to reduce immigration because they know that we needed it to fuel the economy. The Tories used to know that it was the Gammons who were wrong because they were prey to their own client media. But since Brexit, they've actually tried to implement this batshit crazy idea, but it doesn't work. Since Brexit, we have suffered a collapse in the workforce. The government are desperately trying to coax people out of early retirement, even though that wouldn't come close to plugging the gap. It's also doomed to failure because most of the vacancies are for low-paid jobs. That is because our shiny points-based immigration system allows people to get the points needed for a work visa really easily for a well-paid job. Basically, the points amount to this. Is the job well paid? Yes, then you've got the points. Is the job poorly paid? No. Yes, rather, then you don't get the points. It's really that simple, unless it's on the shortage occupation list. But trying to get back early retirees to do these jobs, futile, because by definition, if you can afford to retire early, your finances are allowing you to live comfortably. Someone like that's not going to be tempted to go and get a job in a care home or anywhere else where you're going to have to work hard for low wages. Behind the scenes, the Tories know this. This is why they're blowing holes in their own immigration system with an expansion of the shortage occupation list. It's why ministers are telling employers in their sector to hire more foreign workers. They've delivered unto us the worst of all worlds. We're restricting immigration, but we've got record immigration in the UK right now. We're preventing asylum seekers from having their claims processed, thus not only trashing our international reputation, but denying our economy a ready pool of workers when we've got a severe labour shortage and a failing economy. They're not actually achieving anything for anyone. The Gammons are going to get even redder in the face at the news that channel crossings and net immigration have never been higher. So the Tories are making themselves very vulnerable to Reform UK at shaping their next manifesto in return for candidates being stood down. Because if Reform UK don't stand the candidates down, those Gammons are going to vote Reform UK. The rest of us are having to hang our heads in shame at the cruelty and lawlessness of our supposedly democratic representatives, at the same time as suffering a serious fall in living standards caused in part because we're turning away a pool of ready and willing workers that we are desperately short of to power our economy. And if the media would just report a few basic facts, the government would never be able to go ahead with this absolute nonsense. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.